My name is Wayne Giles.
So, what was your life like before?
Oh gosh. The like my life leading up to that summer was like pretty hectic, right? You know what I mean? I just recently gotten out of prison after doing 11 and a half years, and I got out on I think it was a Monday. And the first day I went and was a go-getter, but by the second day I was high already, you know, and because I didn't know any other way to live. You know, we go back to what we know instantly when we get out, especially when we are faced with adversity, you know, and that was the pattern of my life for the 20 years before that was hit a road barrier, hit a roadblock, and Wayne gets high. That's just what happens, you know. And it was 20 years of that, really. You know what I mean? We could talk about traumas and all of those other things, but the biggest thing was I wanted to stop using dope, and I didn't know how.
What was it that changed? What clicked with you that you were like, I got to be done?
God is the simple answer. You know what I mean? I had a couple of encounters with God in a way that that let me know he was real and tangible, and I could feel it happening in my life. You know what I mean? I just knew he was there. Didn't stop me from getting high again after that first time, right? Well, and I would say probably I'd had encounters with God throughout my life, you know, but I had a little relapse after a while, you know what I mean? And it was the same thing again. And I was sitting in a car, and I'd just been pulled over, and frankly, I could have gone back to prison in that moment, you know, and I just called out to God, and he took it away, like instantly. Mm-hmm.
So, who was it that, and actually, before I do that, can you tell us a little bit about getting into the New Freedom Project and just, you know, when you got here, what it was like and how you kind of made your way through the program?
So after my relapse that I just was talking about, right, where I was sitting in the car and just kind of called out to God, maybe this is screwing you up, but probably the person that had kind of helped mentor me through some of this, and I'll tell you that story too. It was the first day, but I called him and said, I can't do what I'm doing. This treatment center sucks, and life sucks, and I don't want to be doing what I'm doing. It's stupid. You know what I mean? Basically, you know what I mean? Stomping my little feet. And I called Joe on the phone, and he said, okay, well, let's get you a different experience. They moved me in with another guy that I'd known, and I loosely call it a halfway house, right? It ended up being kind of, and he said, get your butt to work and start having purpose. And they gave me the address to New Freedom, and the second that I drove into the parking lot, I knew that the presence of God was on this place, and I could feel it, and was just overcome with emotion. And I just came in here, and there's a pool room right over here, and it was hot. It was like June. It was June 1st. It was June 1st, and it was hot, and I just sat at a computer and I just typed away, and I tell people all the time, I could still taste the pipe on my lips. You know what I mean? It was just, and I just kept doing what they told me to do, and thank God we only worked half days, because I don't know that I could have made it like through a full day's worth of work. Yeah, that was not my first experience. It was Joe McDonald.
Joe, why don't you come on over here?
It's your turn.
So this is the man of the hour here. So why don't you tell us just a little bit about how the two of you sort of came into each other's lives, and what was important about that, and why you decided to, you know, share this experience with him, and why you felt he was a good candidate for the program, whatever else you'd like to speak on.
Yeah, I met Wayne fully a year before, maybe more than that, down at the 24th Street office, the old nonprofit that we ran at the Transition Coalition that we had in, and we started working together on recovery, growth, spiritual development. And one of the things I noticed about Wayne is he had the heart and he had the knowledge of God, but what Wayne had not yet adopted is the hands and feet of God. And so the more we watched him, I watched him through his relapse. One of the things I think that was impactful was that he kept reaching out and he kept struggling, but he didn't want to let go. He wasn't ready to surrender to the whole process. And I knew in my spirit that the thing about Wayne is that rules don't work for him. and so what I needed to do was just be okay with him coming to know he wasn't okay. And he did, and he stayed in our prayers. And then when he finally reached out and says, okay, I'm in another treatment and the treatment sucks, and I said, well, yeah, you really need to be serving. You were built to serve. And so he came here, as he said, right here in this facility, and went to work right away. And thank God, to his point, that we did not have to work him all day, because he didn't have a whole day in him. But as time has gone on, he's become a formidable servant.
And how much of your guys' relationship, formed here, do you now see in him? Is he able to be someone now that could go out and mentor someone and teach them some of the things that you have shared with him?
Wayne is absolutely interchangeable with anything that I could ever offer to anyone.
That's a bold statement. How does that make you feel? I mean,
Wow. That hits me right in my feelers. That's awesome. Because one of the biggest things that I suffer from is like doubt and confidence and being to do it, and having to remember that I'm not the doer. I'm just kind of I just said that wrong, is what I did. I'm not, God's the doer. I'm just out there, it's all him. And I have to remember that.
If you could, right now in this moment, look back 10, 15 years at Wayne, would you be able to convince that person that you would have become this right now? That you're this shining example of this stand-up citizen, you're teaching people, you're mentoring. Looking back, could you have explained that to that person? Would you believe that you could come this far without a program, like this?
No, not at all. It was always about the struggle, focusing on the struggle rather than not struggling, right? It's that simple. We don't struggle anymore.
Do you want the same for the people in your life in terms of, do you know anyone that you brought into the program? You're like, hey, I want to reach out to this person and bring them in because this person brought me in. Was there anything like that in your life where you were able to bring?
I think the person that I regret the most, and it's the hardest on to watch them not get it, is my sister, who came to the program. Are we telling bad stories? Who came to the program and just has not gotten it and is struggling still and just won't surrender to God.
Where do you see yourself with the future of Youth Freedom in terms of the next couple of years? Where do you want to move? What direction would you like to go?
It's funny. I used to say to people all the time, I'm coming for the clinical director's job, or I'm coming for the CEO's job.
You got grand plans.
Well, I'm graduating. I've got things to do. I don't know if that's necessarily what the plan God has for me. So I try to focus on that more than on what Wayne wants, because my plans are usually are far less than the plans God has for me.